December 1995. Eugene walks into a Ralph's supermarket in the San Fernando Valley and picks up a PC Gamer magazine. The cover story, Duke Nukem Forever. And since that moment, I've known that I would need the latest cutting-edge PC technology to keep up with my insatiable gaming needs. Command & Conquer, Gabriel Knight 2, The Beast Within, Day of the Tentacle even, Baldur's Gate, Ultima Online. I digress. Since then, I've wanted a water-cooled, hardcore graphics, completely insane gaming PC to be able to handle anything that I throw at it. Time has come for me to finally engage in that computer build, and I want to take you along with me. Let's begin by going over some of the parts we'll be using in this build. First is the ASUS Rampage 5 Extreme Motherboard, an X99 board chosen for its ability to support 3-way SLI and a PCIe SSD. But we'll have to do something about that red and black color scheme. And for the CPU, we'll have Intel's top-of-the-line 8-core i7-5960X. Next, we have 64 gigabytes of G.skill Ripjaws rated for 3000 megahertz. For graphics, we have 3 of EVGA SuperClocked GTX 980 Ti's. There are some exciting custom PCBs for this card out there, but I chose a base model for the greatest Waterblock compatibility. And then for our power supply, we'll need something serious, Corsair's AX 1500i. Now, some people have used 2 power supplies in similar builds, and the case can certainly fit it, but here I've chosen to go with 1. I'll be going with 3 kinds of storage here. 1 Samsung SM951 M.2 drive, which goes right on the motherboard for the system drive. 1 Intel 730 1TB SSD for the data, and this is what I'm really excited about, 1 Intel 750 480GB NVMe PCIe SSD. Currently the fastest consumer drive on the market. We'll be using that for applications and, of course, games. Now for the water cooling components. Actually, you know what? There's a ton of those, so we'll just get to them later. It's finally here, my CaseLabs STH10. I'm super excited. CaseLabs is an enthusiast manufacturer known for their tremendous build quality and for being very modern friendly, and it certainly shows. Even as I was just arraying all of these various case parts, you can tell that everything is very sturdy. There's a superb amount of attention to detail, and I really couldn't be more excited about putting this thing together. So without further ado, let's get started. Looks like it's starting to take shape, literally. Well, after 1 pizza, 2 beers, and so many screws, this thing is finally built and we are ready to put the parts in. But before I do that, I want to speak a little bit about the CaseLabs build quality. Now, this thing was fantastic. All of the screw threads were perfectly drilled. All of the pieces fit together flush. It really was a joy to build it. And while it costs a pretty penny, I cannot recommend anything more to a true enthusiast builder. So the first parts we're going to put in are the ones that are kind of key to figuring out the tubing routing, the cable lengths, and all that. First will be the power supply. We're going with an Corsair AX 1500i. Also, our radiators. So at the top, for the graphics card loop, we're using 2 loops in this build, will be 2 EK Coolstream 480s. These are the thicker version of the EK radiators. They're a pretty new product, but people seem to be pretty jazzed on them, and I'm excited as well. And then next, down at the bottom, along with the power supply, will be the one radiator that's serving the CPU and motherboard and RAM loop. And that'll be the BlackSilent GTX 560. So we'll be putting those in and covering them with these fan filters because the fans will be going on the outside. I'll show you a closer look at that in a minute. Here, I begin putting together the radiator and fan combinations. I'm using PWM fans throughout, which I'll be controlling through the Aquaro XT6. For the 560 rad, I'm going with a fan that has a pretty silly name, Noiseblocker BlackSilent Pro in 140mm, of course. And for the 480 rads, I'm using the EK Vardars, which have been getting a lot of praise from the community. It seems that they're essentially an update of the legendary Scythe Gentle Typhoons. Before you put them in your system, it's important to flush the radiators to get rid of any artifacts of the manufacturing process, better known as weird crap that might be in there. Doing so is pretty simple. You just attach some fittings, fill with water, shake, and let the radiators hang out before draining. I selected almost exclusively Aquacomputer water cooling parts for this build, in large part due to their compatibility with the Aquaro 6, which I'll be using to control fans, pumps, and lighting. Plus, they look really cool. I start with 2 of the Aquaro D5 pumps, as well as the pump top, which serves as housing for a pump and a base for the Aqualis 800 reservoir. Then it's just a matter of putting them all together. I'll note that one of the pump tops was missing 2 screws to attach it to the reservoir base. I posted about this on the overclocked.net thread for Aquacomputer, and Shaggy, Aquacomputer employee extraordinaire, quickly responded. I had the screws delivered all the way from Germany within a couple days, so cheers for that. Once I assembled the pump and reservoir assembly, I needed to do a little light modding to get them to fit on the STH10's divider. It's all just a matter of careful marking and measuring, then screwing in the appropriate holes with progressively larger drill bits. And voila. Lo, the shifting sands of time. Day turns to night, beer turns to cocktail. And a big box of screws, brackets, and metal parts turns to this beautiful CaseLabs computer case. Now, as you can see, I have installed the 480 rads on top and the 560 on the bottom, and I've also installed the motherboard and pump and res combos in the heart of the case. And I've done that in order to get the PSU lengths for the cables running from the power supply in the bottom up to the main components in the top so that I can begin to sleeve them. But I think for today, I'll go ahead and call it a day, maybe get to some gaming on my console. You can find a link to that build log below. And I hope you're as excited as I am for the next part of the build log, in which we will cover the heart of the water cooling loop, the motherboard. Until then, this has been Eugene Tries.